Oh, hang on, I've got to find me.
Right, I've got a poem from Gordon Thompson. He describes it as, here's a short topical one with 6th of February 1952 in mind. Princess becomes queen when ailing father's life ends. Moment of joy, pain. And I've got two from Jo Sanders. She's been doing a poetry course on scientific poetry. So first one's called Celestial Silence. The sky is crystalline clear, a stillness to freeze. I stand in shining darkness, the number of stars astronomical. I search for clusters, I count constellations. I look in vain for the one star that led kings to Bethlehem. And the other poem is All Things Are Relative. Isaac Newton found out about gravity and lived life devoid of depravity. He explored things galactical, intellectual and practical. My brain's a black hole in a cavity. That was Jo Sanders.
Touch of the Gilbert and Sullivans there.
Yeah,
very
yes,
nice, thank
indeed.
So, could you excuse me for 1 second? I'm just going to open the door so the dog can get in the garden because he's clawing at the doors to go out. Hold me a second. All right, Lemmy, here you are. Right, it's open. Oh, sorry about that. He's now decided to sit on the sofa, so he's not really doing much at the moment. There he is.
You got you out on your feet though, John.
Yeah, little rat bag. Gives me plenty of exercise.
Your dog and Jan's cat preparing.
Yeah. So we can, Robin's not here yet, so we can go down to Ruth.
Right.
Oh, Ruth, can I just mention your daughter's book is absolutely lovely.
Oh, that's very nice for your comments. That was really good.
Yeah, it's here. It's a lovely book, everybody, and it's a lovely sort of London area walks, and not only has it got the walks in, but it's got maps of where you go and what birds you can hear at any given time. It's really beautifully illustrated. You know, it's amazing. So anyway.
Oh, very nice of you, George. Thanks you.
Right, okay, where you go, Ruth?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, is it me first?
Yes, it is.
Oh, right, okay. Right, well, the first poem was written some time ago, actually, when my second daughter left home, you know, and the house began to empty out. It's called Empty Nest. The surfaces of your room are impeccable. As I watch the slow drift of motes, I regret taking the posters from your wall. This was your growing space, its careful accumulations, stowed, waiting collection. The adder's skin, cards, gummed with tiny bones from an owl's carnage. The desk is cleared, where you chanted verbs to the hamster's wheel, where diaries began. You demanded a mirror, but never hung up your clothes. Friends eternally clattered up the stairs. Then the world suddenly tilted and you went after it. Traveling through time zones, you returned to bivouac here. Souvenirs found house room, though you never stayed. The surfaces of your room are impeccable. I stand watching the slow drift and gently close the door. Yes, that was a long time ago. And the next one is one of my rare attempts at a sonnet. It's called My Mother's Medicine Cabinet. If perfumes last in old Egyptian jars, this cabinet should hold for years the smell of Friar's balsam, Vicks, coal tar. The rings on its chipped glass shelves remind me of the cures she swore by, salts with halib orange, malt from the government. Here was the iodine she dabbed, no thought of how it stung, and there her liniment. If coals lay on our chests, as like as not, she'd shift them. Thick vapours made us sweat, and syrups turned our tongues bright apricot. She never failed to set us right, and yet the linctus crusts now on the bottle's rim. Her fingernails are set in lanolin. And the last one is a poem, is a poem to my house. It's a sort of letter to my house. Dear house, we saw your pebble-dashed side wall from almost halfway down the street, the standalone, lapped by grass and nettle beds, the last one on our list. Opening the door, we stepped into your mock baronial hall and stood in the gloom of brown lincruster. You were a cold house. Your boiler sang in a corner but had no reach. Our young ones slept together in your southernmost room, and other children lived here once. Their heights recorded in red crayon. Coded messages were discovered beneath the floorboard. During the war, soldiers were crammed into your living space. A neighbour remembers their beery singing. Army boots placed to dry left grimy stud marks on the end of the bath. An elderly Canadian who called one day stood on your doorstep and wept, seeing you again. Over the years, we've painted your walls orange, then beige, played music in your lounge, bought furnishings that stretched our budget. Downsize, our children say, before it's too late. So when you barely feel our slowing footsteps on your stairs, prepare, dear house, to change. Right, that's it.
That's lovely, Ruth. Thank you very much. So you covered daughters, you covered mothers, and you covered the house. So
Yeah.
pretty comprehensive. Yes.
Well done.
Lovely. Thank you. Beautiful poems. Thank you very much. I see we are now 12, which is good. So welcome, Jan, and welcome, Mohammed. So hi. And next on the list as we go down would be my friend Norman. Hi, Norman.
Hello, George. Can you hear me?
Yes, fine.
Loud and clear.
Absolutely.
Very good. Well, light entertainment from me tonight, George, i.e. no suicides or broken relationships. Few short ones, and I've also got a special at the end. It's quite short. I've dedicated it to Mohammed. It all will come, it'll become obvious a bit later. Anyway, the first one is, I don't know about you guys, but I hate to see clocks in public places not telling the correct time. I want to get up my step ladder and just, fix it. So with that in mind, I've written this one. It's called Clocks. I see clocks in public places that cannot tell the time. For them, it's unimportant if the train to Euston arrives at 9:30. And yet they're often found in places of importance, like railway stations, schools and shops, and the church with funeral teardrops. Then one day, as if by magic, I'll spot the timely change. Like a phoenix from the ashes, each timepiece comes to life again. It pleases me to see them back on track at last. Normal service is resumed, just like in the past. And there we have it. Now, the next one, I read a short article about a big hoo-ha in the United States. Where else? It's costing so much money and non-eco-friendly to produce dog food. So I've penned this one called Man's Best Friend, but this time I'm a dog and I'm fighting back. Here we go. Man's best friend. Let me be your companion and perfect pet. We can walk together in the mud when it's really wet. I'll stare at you with puppy eyes and fetch the ball under bright blue skies. This and lots more I'll share. Just don't feed me dried up insect fare. I know you have an eco-conscience, but I'm a dog who needs meat in abundance. Yes, I'm a meat and bone dog, that's for sure. So to feed me dried fry larvae is not a cure. I can help you with your mental health. I'll guard your house both night and day. I can provide playful walking therapy. In the animal kingdom, I'm a rarity. I promise not to lick my bum, then affectionately lick your face. I'll come to heel when called upon and carry the pheasants by the brace. You don't have to wash me in a pretentious pooch parlor where well-heeled folks tend to flaunt and clamor. You don't have to drive me to beauty spots or the beach. The local parks and hunting woods are within easy reach. I'll cleverly search out my favorite toy. Just think of all the hours of joy. You get pet toys now that are truly edible. So there's another route to protein that's credible. So please don't feed me dried fly larvae. Just meat and a marrow bone will do me. I promise to remain obedient and loyal forever, and we can live a long and happy life together. Boom, boom. Now, I don't know if I can take a liberty. I've got, George, you said you like my stories, as I call them, short prose. I'm working on something. It's too big to cover everything tonight, but one of the best, in fact, if not the best summer job I had as a teenager was working on what we call the lemonade lorry. If you remember, I don't know if any of you guys experienced this, but lorries would go round before the big supermarkets took over totally, and they would serve soft drinks, deliver soft drinks to hotels and restaurants and cafes and all the rest of it. Well, I was on one of those lorries. So if I may, George, I'll just sort of paint a picture with the lorry and what it was about. And what happens after this, which I won't go into tonight, is I met so many different characters on the rounds. I'm now writing about them, but we won't go into that tonight. So just as an introduction, the lemonade lorry, the sun seemed to shine every single day during the summer season when I worked on the lemonade lorry. The big dark blue diesel fumed lorry with its orange wheels was a mobile beacon of soft drink desire in the community. It reliably plowed the roads like a loyal Shire horse. It had bulky rubber wheels, a radiator face, and window wipers which seemed to work at half speed during infrequent short, sharp passing rain showers. There was a comforting smell of a trustworthy engine that would labor up some of the steep country roads, but it could speed on the flat like a swallow on the wing. The driver would have to turn and turn the ship-sized wheel to negotiate many of the hotel backyards. There were the minimum of dashboard meters, simply covering speed, temperature, and oil. We sat three abreast in the lorry cab with a large bulbous gear stick taking pride of place in the middle. Warmth came from the engine cover, so the driver and passenger windows were always partially or fully open. The soft drink crates were heavy, wooden, and woven in wire frames. Heavy green weatherproof canvas covered most of the crates, roped for safety like a ship's cargo. In between the small towns and villages, we admired the beautiful picture postcard countryside. We never spoke of a timetable. Life felt free, but looking back, we always arrived in good time. Enough time to share conversation, laugh and joke with the folks of all ages along our way. Every customer, young and old, welcomed us with excitement, anticipating the spectacle of us uncovering the paint palette of colors, bottling their favorites, which included lemonade, Scotch cola, sparkling orange, ginger beer, red cola, ice cream soda, and iron brew. It was only a summer holiday job, but I grasped the opportunity in my teenage life, for it provided me with pride, fun, kudos, and of course, some spending money. And then I go on to, I'll do this some other time, some of the characters I met. Right, I'll finish George of May. This is dedicated to Muhammad. Is he there? I see him. Right. In the breakfast news, last week was it? I heard that Boris and the government were sending Liz Truss over to Russia because of the Ukraine situation. And I said to my wife, Putin will eat her for breakfast. So I've penned this, and this is me as Vladimir Putin talking aloud in his kitchen. Vladimir. By the way, I'm not going to do it in a Russian accent. I need more time to practice. Who shall I eat for breakfast today? Boris Johnson, or better still, Liz Truss? You see, Ukraine is on my radar, and with my tanks on the border, needs must. I thought they'd got the message when things went down in sunny Salisbury. Anyway, Boris and all his disguised partying has left them all with declining credibility. If the UK, US, and NATO don't toe my party line, I'll shut the gas pipelines down and listen to them moan and whine. They all pulled out of Afghanistan showing no military mettle. Now they want me to give up my Russian rights and for me to meet their terms and settle. You see, Boris and all his Western cronies, I believe, are all a bunch of phonies. I need to erect defensive buffers to ensure the survival of my regime. So party on, Boris, with your corrupt, dysfunctional team. Thank you.
Vlad the Impaler. Wonderful. Yeah, I saw this thing about recently that they're talking about giving dogs vegan food. I mean, you're turning canines into herbivores. I mean, what a crazy world we're living in.
It's there's a big push in America for dry fly larvae.
Yeah.
And obviously it's more eco-friendly to produce. But there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for all those, Norman. That's great. I think Vivian's got a little bit of pressure from her technology, so I'm glad she's on next. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. If I can, and if I do go out, then you know why. It's not me. It's technology.
Right.
Okay. I've just got two from the Croydon Poetry Hour anthology, 2019-2020. Okay. First one is called Blue. Colour of the sky on a summer's day. Colour of the sea in a sheltered bay. Colour of my jeans, so comfortable to wear. Blouse, jumper, shirt or jacket will suit any pair. Colour of a hot star, glowing in the dark, on its journey to oblivion, leaving no mark. Colour of an ice sheet, the landscape changing beneath. Casket's pattern in the bedrock, looking like a giant's teeth. And the colour of my mood sometimes, when I am feeling low, wishing I was elsewhere, somewhere different to go. Colours have their highs and lows, for each one a mood. But as this is too long a task, I think I will conclude. Okay, that's my first one. And my second one, which was on the subject of things that shine. One of the ones I want, I'm quite interested in astronomy. And so I wrote a poem called Moonshine. The moon is a giant mirror, shines across the night sky, giving light to the earth during the night hours. It is a dark rock, non-reflective in its own right. But oh, when the sunlight catches it, shines a glowing ball. A halo of light makes it ghostly, ethereal, heavenly almost, like another body is there in the heavens. Hangs in the sky, a flaming picture on the wall. Doesn't last long before it is over. The moon returning to normal. All too short, this rare phenomenon. They call it moonshine. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. It came across very well. So your technology held up.
Oh, good. I'm glad about that.
Very nice and well-observed poems. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I shall think of blue in lots of different ways now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I want to move over to my friend Alan. Alan, are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
Right.
I was just having a quick flick through. I've got several fish and chip related poems this evening. The first one is Seagulls. Soaring, floating on the breeze, looking down on shore and seas. I hear people laugh and shout as I swoop and glide about. I see someone put a morsel to their lips. I dive bomb full speed and crash their fish and chips. Now they lay scattered on the ground. From nowhere, seagulls gather round, feasting on our newfound prize. Passers-by can't believe their eyes. The chip owner cries out, "Oh my God, those hungry bastards nicked my cod." More seagulls join us on the ground. There are no remnants to be found. It is as if a skirmish had never been. Back in the sky, we survey the scheme. Only the chip paper blows in the wind. It is picked up and put in a bin. Back in the sky, we stay alert, our eyes peeled for a tasty dessert. We wait for an unsuspecting passerby with an ice cream, cake or pie. Thank you. And then this one was based on a little sort of day out, sort of a couple of weeks ago down to the coast. It's called Technology Odyssey. To touch or press, that is the question. To tap or swipe, in what direction? I pull up in the car park, ready for a nice day out. But before I left it, my sanity was in doubt. The ticket machine didn't like my selection when choosing cash or card. Am I supposed to tap the buttons, or am I pressing too hard? It's early in the day, it's already turning to crap. Frustrated, I'm sitting in my car, downloading yet another parking app. My wife says, "This is ridiculous. Let me have a go." Armed with a card and bag of change, she then goes through the throws. Much to my frustration, the machine swallows the change. "But you wouldn't do that for me," I annoyingly explained. We have a pleasant day with lunch of fish and chips, bought with good old cash from my pocket by my hip. Walking back to the car, we feel the need to use the loo, only to have another frustrating experience. But what are we to do? I walk up to the urinal, and before I reach my fly, the thing starts flashing, splashing, much to my surprise. I finish my ablutions, then start to leave, and as I pass other urinals, a scene I can't believe. Each one individually flashing as I saunter by. I now stand before a sink. How do I wash my hands? It really makes me think. I wave my hand under the soap dispenser, absolutely nothing. I touch it, try to pump it, then finally roll my eyes. It not only sends a jet of soap into my hand, but also down my thighs. I can feel the astringent stinging, so I place my hands quickly under the tap, then realize I've fallen into another technological trap. I wave my hand under this tap. I wave my hand under another. I wave them under a third. This is ridiculous. Why do I bother? There's a green flashing light on the front, so I wave my hands in front of that, then feel like a complete idiot when someone stands beside me and gives it a tap. I do the same. The scalding water cascades over my hands. I quickly rinse the soapy suds, then air dry and cool my burning hands. Waiting for my wife in the car park, I practice once again with the parking technology. As a car pulls up beside me, the driver asks, "Do you want my ticket? There's still 25 minutes to go." I thank him and inform him I'm only going through the throes of seeing if I can select cash or card and change the length of time. He smiles, telling me the technology is so frustrating, then laughs and says goodbye. As I continue with my frustrations, my wife calls to me, "Have you got any water in the gents?" I burst out laughing, shouting my reply, "Press the green back button." Then back into the toilet she went. On our way home from the coast, I needed to refuel. Fingers crossed this transaction won't leave me feeling a fool. I wondered, will I need to swipe my card or insert it with the pin? Will it be wave it or tap it? There are too many options, that's the thing. So I filled up, it's time to pay. I'm armed with my card. Surely it can't be that hard. But then I'm asked to stop. "Not there, sir. Tap it on the top." in my mind, I'm screaming, bloody hell, not again. I roll my ass and ask myself, what's wrong with my brain? Why aren't these machines standardized? Or is it just a ploy to drive us all insane? Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant.
It was, modern
Yeah,
life
been
is
there,
how to
done that.
survive it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
No,
we've
we
all
all
been
know.
there.
I just seem to be going there a few too many times.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's really annoying because sometimes, I'm getting older now, and when you see these machines, you can't even read them. The glare of the light, you can't even see what's on them.
Yeah.
And I'm just totally at sea, and it says you can only ring up, and you ring these. I just give up, really. I just, prefer to get a horse, really, if I could.
Well, it's reassuring it's not just me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not just the size of the letters. It's the fact that you need lighting when you get old. You need light on those letters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without the
absolutely.
light, you can't read them.
Absolutely. It's either glare on the screen or it's too dim to even see. So,
Right.
or it's the print's
And then
too
you're
small.
rummaging around for your mobile phone and the torch.
Yeah. And sometimes they put silver things on a white background. Duh. Anyway. Welcome, Jim. Nice to see you. So we're going to move on now to, where are we? We've done Alan. So John Greatrex isn't here. So Lorraine, it's your turn now. Are you ready for us, Lorraine?
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got rather a strong one. It's more of a rant, but I tend to do this every time this year. So here's my rant for today. And I've got other lighter ones. This is called Herds of Hated Species. You may shout as loud as you like. You won't need a mic. The evil Teutonic genes and chromosomes will never be on strike. They're compelled to send herds of hated species on a death hike. You won't need a mic. You've witnessed the unprecedented crises of yore. And now's your chance to take up arms, retaliate, and even the score. The evil Teutonic genes and chromosomes will never be on strike. They're restoring the dark deeds of the repugnant Third Reich. And they've a fifth column axis ready to annihilate whoever they dislike. They're compelled to send herds of hated species on a death hike. So try stepping ahead and obliterate those who believe they're so pure. Ensure every sinew and phagocyte of your enemy lies dead on the floor. So that's what I feel about it, because my family were involved in it and knew them, and they came over for my parents' wedding. So every year, my grandma put candles every solitary Sabbath, lit 8 candles for her sisters and their family. And they came over in 1935, went back to Poland, and that was the end of that part of the family. It's a huge family. Everything else is light. I'll read one more that's light. It's nothing to do with that. This is called a whole eccentric. I've been a lot of eccentric most of the time. Now I'm a whole one. And it goes like this. One could turn at last into a whole eccentric if they'd care for their beloved old lacrosse stick. 'Tis joyous to prod and push pavement of brick. Though it's almost one's age, it's sure done the trick. I'll just show it to you for a minute. It's here. Anyhow, like a witch with a stick flying through the sky, one needs to land in Waitrose for some items to buy. Once the vehicle is parked in a trolley, the whole store hears a hideous cry. A forefinger's stuck in the stainless steel hook where a carrier bag's always hanging on high. That happened to me recently. I walked with the stick. When I got there, I took a trolley and I couldn't get my finger out. I thought somebody would have to carve it out, and an ambulance and half the staff of the shop came out. But by that time, somehow or rather, I got my fingers loose. So talk about eccentric. I've got another one for later, but it's only light, so after the interval or whatever. Unless you want to get over it now.
I don't mind, Lorraine. You can.
I'll do it now then. Yes.
Okay.
It's, yeah. This might be the sort of experiences people have had with NHS or doctors. This is called Don't Swallow Snails' Shells. You fought on every front, downed each panacea. Yes, downed each panacea. The internet's of no help, it's fake medics propaganda. One site promotes carrots, there's no need to fear. Another stresses shallots are poison, so be sure to steer clear. So reject and don't follow the spells, and decline to swallow snail shells. Resist a king's ransom, it's a fortune you'll pay for those website gods who'll have feet of clay. GPs and clinics aren't easy to access since the virus attacks left GB in a mess. Waiting rooms don't exist anymore. Who wants to infect or contract a floor? It should have been set in stone years ago as a law. Seeing such a crowd of folks, diverse ills en tout, was a hell of a job for GPs to wade through the queue. Like an illusion, the new routine arrives like a mirage. You're drawn out of the medic's raffle barrel to form a triage. It's no vis-a-vis outdated appointment. It's now on the phone. The GPs have been anointed from high to listen to your moan. Thus, his or her excellency will then give you hope as long as you ask for an audience from the medical pope. So I think they have achieved that sort of promotion. You can't speak to them for a long, long time. Then you have your appointment that they've been anointed. And so you can think of them as your excellency now. You don't ask for an appointment, you ask for an audience. That's right. You ask for an audience from the medical code. So that's my one for today.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. Sharp observations as usual. Apropos of nothing, I had a discussion with someone today, my neighbour, who was moaning about people in Bristol wanting to tear down statues of Henry Colston. And I said, well, you know, how would you feel if someone who'd slaughtered your ancestors and, you know, people who profited from it had statues of Hitler left up on display? As you know, I can understand how people feel when they see these people still glorified hundreds of years later. They should pull them. Anyway, that's my feel. Anyway, I've had my rant, sorry. And I see, Jan, you've got a pet intrusion as well. So when Lemmy starts barking again, I won't feel too bad. Right, now I'm going to move on now over to number 10 Downing Street, I expect, to my friend Mohammed, if he's around.
Hello everyone.
Yes.
Sandy stretch. These sandy stretches with our footprints end abruptly in the distance, where the people purchase and populate with baskets and much footfall. I'm more used to pebbles and voices of the city and sea surges and ebbs. Our continental bond excludes the stones counting risen or fallen hopes. Soon it will be time to decide on how best to nest or be sailing. Every grain of sand in their bond with the others creates more of that volume. Next one, split infinity. There's split infinity and me in the middle. Lord knows how to get out of the soup. There's a warrant for my arrest as I duck and dive. A delay can be one too many. There's infinity split, the stars slant sideways, each orbit under scrutiny like they gaze. Lord knew and will, and I'll not be the decider, just in a split infinity. There's a chase to get me to bedlam. I'm so guilty. And we have Boris. Boris has just arrived. Yes. I welcome opposition from the 4 aides who have left. Free Ukraine dinners where they call me deft, hoping never to step down, clinging on for no reason, getting unemployment figures wrong and stinking up the season. We deliver while Labour dithers. We party in every weather. Come on, Britain.
Lovely, Mohammed. You're on form, as usual.
Thank you.
Right. Jan, good evening. Are you able to read this evening, Jan? You don't have to, but if you want to.
Well, I haven't. I'm new to this, so I haven't actually written anything of my own. I did find a poem, but I didn't write it.
Oh, we all do that. I've got one I'm going to read from someone else later on. Yeah, don't worry. It's fine.
All right. Well, I'll try
Yes.
this one. I really relate to this poem actually, because whenever I go anywhere, I always take everything but the kitchen sink, you know. So, so I found this and I quite liked it actually. I don't know. It's called Just in Case. I'm going away for the weekend, just in case. I'm going to the sea for the weekend. In a couple of days, I'll be back. So I'll just take my little brown suit and a blouse and a berry and carry my Mac. But what if the house is a cold one? The house where I'm going to stay, no fires after April, no hot drinks at night, and the windows wide open all day. I better take one, no, 2 cardies and my long tartan scarf for my head and my chaste new pajamas in case they decide to bring me my breakfast in bed. And what about church on Sunday? I could wear my berry and suit, but if it was sunny, it would be a chance to wear my straw hat with the fruit. I can't wear my little brown suit though, not with the straw and the fruit. So I'll just take a silk dress to go with the straw and a silk scarf to go with the suit. I'll just take my jeans and a jumper in case we go out in the car, and my Guernsey in case we go out in a boat. And do you know where my swimming things are? Do you think I should take that black velvet in case they book seats for a play? And is it still usual to take your own towel when you go somewhere to stay? I had thought of just taking slippers, but they do look disgustingly old. I better take best shoes and sandals and boots for the church and the heat and the cold. I don't go without my umbrella in case I'm dressed up and it rains. I'm bound to need socks and my wellies for walking down long muddy lanes. Well, I'd rather not take my old dressing gown in case it's such a business to pack. But suppose they have breakfast before they get dressed. I'd have to have mine in my Mac. I'm going away for the weekend and in a couple of days I'll be back. So I'll just take my little brown suit and a blouse, 2 cardies, my long tartan scarf, my chaste new pajamas, my straw hat with the fruit, my silk dress, my silk scarf, my jeans, that jumper, my Guernsey, my swimming things, my black velvet, my towel, my slippers, my sandals, my boots, my umbrella, my socks, my willies, my dressing gown. No, not my dressing gown, but no, okay, my dressing gown. And I'll take my berry and I'll carry my Mac. I mean, yes, that really appealed to me actually, because that's exactly what I do.
It's wonderful. Sounds like they're going to need a trunk, a huge trunk on wheels or something.
Right,
Wonderful.
yeah. Just go away for one night, you know, you just take everything.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, well read as well. Thank you very much, Jen.
Yeah, who is the poet? Who's the poet, please? Who wrote it?
Who wrote it? It's right. It's called From Just in Case, Poems in My Pocket by Charlotte Mitchell.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Published
Okay.
Yeah, it's 1991. Yeah.
Yes, a lovely poem. Thank you very much, Jen. Good choice. Anthony, could we welcome you and hear from you, please? Can't hear from you yet. You're still muted, but you're still muted, Anthony. Can't hear. Can you? That's it.
Yeah, I have to go upstairs and get some poems.
Oh, what you have to, or you had to?
I have to.
You have to. Okay, that's fine. I can move you down the list then. All right.
Yeah,
that's
I'll
fine.
be the next one after the person you've chosen.
Well, the person I've chosen, yeah, is Jim. So that's fine. Thanks a lot, Anthony. I'll see you soon.
Okay, I just have to go upstairs. Thank you.
All right. Jim, are you ready?
Yeah. I'm. Oh, before I start, this is quite useful. This is a Boots Chemist. You get £5, and you can actually read all the small print. This is really good.
Thank you for that tip.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to read for this session and the next 2 sessions, fairly sort of serious poems. The first one is called Places. There is a place beyond our eyes where miracles make sense, where lovers meet with mirrored selves and kisses have no end. There is a place ruled by the heart where life and legends meet, where children dance because they can and ogres have no teeth. There is a place inside the mouth where cynics bite their tongues and every adult with a dream feels like the chosen one. There's a place we call the soul, where Blake and Milton walk together with their cherished wives and listen as they talk. There is a place within the mind where angels may not tread, where galaxies are infinite and all the gods are dead. The next poem is similarly, you could say it's downbeat, but I mean, I don't dislike, you know, the slightly gloomy side of life, because it's, you know, it makes everything else just seem a little bit brighter or whatever, variety. It's called Head Lice. When a friend's mother accused me of having nits, my mother dragged me to a nearby house. "Are you saying my son's lousy?" she yelled. The boy's mother trembled, ran indoors as if to spit. My mother pulled her face, snarled, "That woman's crazy, I can tell." Back home, a nit comb revealed a thriving colony of black insects. They came from another boy's cap, I protested, but she scraped and scraped until I almost bled. The lice fell onto paper, got swept into a bowl, scalded to death. 3 years later, I saw my ex-friend's mother, gargoyle-faced, leering between the fork of a tree, making ferocious V signs at cars and passing lorries. People stared, then turned away. There was spittle on her lips. Several decades after this, I was to hear my mother, an Alzheimer patient with cropped hair, screaming like an eagle. On seeing me, she wept. "A good sign," said the nurse. Like hell it is, I thought. These days, when I have dandruff, feel a tickle of broken skin on scalp. I see a schoolboy's cap spin towards me like a spaceship from the darkness. I also see my mother's face, grimaced with contempt, pouring tiny scalded insects down a spotless, well-scrubbed sink. Thank you.
Powerful, powerful, Jim. Powerful poem. I love the places before then. It was like a childhood poem, but it was kind of magical. It was beautiful. So fantastic choices, Jim, and well done. I've really enjoyed both those poems. Thank you. We've got so many good poets. I'm just amazed, really. Anthony there? Not yet. No, I can see a chair. I can see a wardrobe or something, a bookcase. No, not yet. Anyway, I can. Are you there, Anthony? I think Jane, I'm tempted to move to you. I think we move to Jane. Jane, can you go, please? Thank you. You're muted.
Yeah.
Jane. Oh, Anthony, I'm going to give you a bit. Anthony, I'm going to give you a bit longer. I'm going to put Jane on now. So hang on a minute. Okay?
Yeah, I've got my poems now.
Oh, well, I'll put Jane on first because she's all queued up now. So if you hold on for a little while, okay?
Okay, thank you, George.
Thank you. Okay, Jane.
Okay, I'm going to read some haiku. They're not as good as yours, George. So I thought I'd this first one's called Water Haiku. 4 fluffy cygnets hitching a long, lazy ride on Mother Swan's back. Solitary shoe on dark crest of River Thames, destiny unknown. Riverbanks guarded by ancient red brick buildings, stemming time and tide. In the Lake District, riding on an open bus, hooded Mac pulled close. Pleasure boats bopping, gawkily and self-conscious, like clumsy ducklings. And these are forest haiku. 12 slender saplings, once planted in a circle, one enormous tree. The crunch, crunch of boots echoing through the forest on carpets of ice. The change of colors, every autumn's signature, steadfast stand the trees. Moon shadows humming to early morning heartbeat in time with the larks. Wind, water, bird song, a cacophony of sound, that's Epping Forest. And then I've got something called the Poetry Workshop. That was the time of Mrs. Thatcher And we had John Patton was the inspector in education, and Baker, he used to have Baker days. Teachers would have to come for 2 afternoons after school, and the curriculum was all really tight. So when we did workshops with the children, it was like a rebellion. So this one is called The Poetry Workshop, a pupil's evaluation for John Patton. The poetry workshop was brilliant, sir. The poetry workshop was cool. The poetry workshop was dead good, sir, and not a bit like school. The poetry workshop was fun, sir. The poetry workshop was safe. The poetry workshop was such a laugh, it was hard to keep a straight face. Jane Grell came on in jaunty form. John Agard was a scream. Parminder Chadha waxed lyrical. Chandra Chowdhury danced a dream. They read them in Bengali. They spoke them in Creole. They recited them in Urdu and standard English too. They drummed them from the tabla. They strummed them on guitar. When they danced a poem by Tagore, the audience called for more. We grabbed our pens, we hit the page. Our poetry flowed like honey. We took the floor, we did our stuff. You would have paid your money. When I grow up, I want to be a poet of distinction, the free verse type, one not obsessed with syntax and punctuation. Oh, the poetry workshop was wicked, sir. Good education indeed. And you've got to take my word, you see. I'm at Key Stage 2, English Attainment Target 3, Level 5A to E.
Oh, thank you, Jane. Have you got any more? Or are you going to wait for part 2?
I'll wait for the second half, yes.
Okay, you seem to have gone just audio at the moment, but could still hear your voice at least.
Oh, you can't see me. I wonder what happened.
No, I don't know. There's a little button that says audio or
All right.
or visual.
Yes,
So,
I'll
yeah.
wait for the second time, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I loved your haiku, actually. They had a nice rhythm to them, and they're probably more like, several of them are more like true haiku than some of my stuff. So lovely. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, George.
Right. Anthony, are you ready now, please?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Right. This is called Peter the Cat. We could go to the Spectre and Crown, where all the punters would admire your white boots and penguin suit. Then we could go to the London Zoo, where you hear the hubris of the laughing hyenas. Your whiskers would react deftly in the air, recalling some ancient fear. Then for the weekend, we could go to Blackpool, and you taste one of the roller coasters using one of your Ample's cat's lives. And the final poem I have is called Blue. Through the curtain of time, you disappoint me. Love is a bitter word. Suddenly it turns its own pallor. I don't need the promises you made. The time it obsesses my heart. Can't you see I'm miserable and blue? Please leave me. I may come home, but I can't say when.
Thank you, Anthony. I like that little line, love is a bitter word. You know, you could make something of that for Valentine's Day, I'm sure. Lovely, thank you.
Cold word. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your letting me read. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. It's lovely to have a new reader, and thanks for your poems. They were very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Right, now we come down to what we call the Poets Anonymous Old Guard, I'm afraid. It's Ted and Peter and myself. Where's Ted gone? Ted, where are you?
George, was that the old farts, did you say?
Yeah, the old
No,
farts.
the old guard. The old guard, not the old fart. Have a care, sir.
The mature veterans, we are.
That's it.
The mature
That's it.
veterans.
Yeah. The
I
old
was
farts,
gonna
in other words.
I was gonna entertain you all with Philip Larkin, but he's so miserable that I'm not going to entertain you with Philip Larkin at all. There's a guy called Norman Nicholson, who, if you never heard of, looks like that. I did look like that until he died in 1982. In Northern Poet, this is Scaffold Pike. I think I'm reading this to you because it's not too long, and I ran up it in my 50-year youth or something like that. Now, you like the intro here. I've got an unstable connection. So I'm going to break up as well. Aren't you lucky? Here we go.
Scaffold Pike. Look along the well of streets between the gasworks and the neat sparrow step gable of the Catholic chapel. High above, tilt the crook of the untumbled down roofs of the town's Scaffold Pike, the tallest hill in England. How small it seems, so far away, no more than a notch on the plate glass window of the sky. Watch a puff of kitchen smoke. Block out peak and pinnacle, rock pile of volcanic lava, half a mile of thick, scotched out as the click of an eye. Look again. In 500 or 1,000 or 10,000 years, a ruin where the chapel was, brown rubble and scrub and cinders were, the gasworks used to be, no roofs, no town, maybe no men, but yonder, where a lather rinse of cloud pours down, the spiked wall of the Skyline Sea, Scaffold Pike, still there. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, Norman.
Jaunt up to the Lake District.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, thank you, Ted. And Peter, have you got any goodies for us, please?
I was going to read a couple of poems by Alec Linstead.
Oh, yes, Alec. He was great, wasn't he?
Yes. And the first one is in commemoration of Stuffed Mushroom Day. This one is the Mushroom Gatherers. They come to the woods in autumn when the birch and the oak are gold and the acorns carmine before the burial of leaves. On misty days when distance is a gradation of greys and crows call and magpies rattle, the woodpecker, cautious, searches with bobbing head and long black beak that bores the ground for ants. They come to the woods in old wrap-round aprons and dark ample suits, with cloth-covered wicker baskets, peering among the leaves, searching, they say, for mushrooms, as they did in Latvia or Estonia once. And women with Hermes scarves and dogs, tricolours and rubies and squads of black and tans, pass them, chattering of Charles and mummy and mortgage. They have never made a political decision in their lives. The mushroom gatherers do not look up. They stir the leaves gently, moving with caution as over a minefield. And lifting the cloth, they lay their treasures with infinite care from bruising, and the acorns fall dead in the calm. These mushrooms gathered here are a sweet taste in exile, to be eaten late at night in a single room far from the dacha. And Silver Night. Tonight the slugs do not invade the house. There is a bone left by the dog to lick that they will fasten on in next door's yard. They will be fully occupied, I know, and leave their silvered tracks upon the flags, vanishing like gorillas with the dawn. Opening the door one night from an eclipse and casting out a shadow from the room between the light bulb and the garden path, I saw them ranged upon the pavings there, encircling the doorstep to invade, moist glittering skins, a suppleness of sloth, to slip between the gap beneath the door. I knew that they had scented out some food. They are too wise to venture without cause, their time's too brief to risk a gambler's search. Small grains of flour or the passing splash gave off some subtle hint to be picked up by these more sensitive to smell than us. Just as the vastness of that eclipse shook my awareness of my place in space, told me that Earth was spinning in a void, all things combined around me in that night, and made me insignificant as them. Then silently, and at the pace of slugs, the shadow of the earth obscured the moon in its alignment with the hidden sun, and I became part of that darkening night, one with the moon, the shadow and the slugs, not felt before in any way complete.
Wonderful, Peter. those of us who remember Alec, he had a beautiful reading voice, and
Yes.
he was quite something else. You know, he was amazing. He was our very own John Betjeman, I think. You know, he was wonderful. So Alec, great gentleman. Anyway, looks like it's down to me now, folks. So as there was some suggestion of us being called old gits or something like that, I found a poem that Alan recommended by Henry Priestman that's in one of our little anthologies, and it's called Old. And Jan, yes, we do read poems for other people, that's fine. Old. Don't feel like time is slipping through my hands. The glass is never empty in my master plan. I still think it's all right crying one too many tears. I'm not worried about the future and my advancing years. I don't give a damn because I am what I am. But the man upstairs is painting with a different brush today. Where they used to be all black, now there are little flecks of grey. And while I'm trying to make some sense of it, the laughter takes a hold. I'm the same age that my father was when I first thought that he was old. I don't want to work my fingers to the bone. Me, I'd rather drink wine with you back at home. I don't want to think about what car the neighbours bought. I'm happy just to sit here laughing on the porch, and I really don't care what they've got over there. I tried to run a mile today. I maybe should have walked. My head had the ambition, but my body was all talk. And while I'm trying to make some sense of it, the laughter takes a hold. I'm the same age that my father was when I first thought he was old. You hate what I wear, but I'm too old to care. I tried to wash you round the room like some lovesick fool, but the kids say, please don't shame us, Dad. Your dancing's so uncool. And while I'm trying to make some sense of it, the laughter takes a hold. I'm the same age that my father was when I first thought he was old. I'm the same age that my father was when I first thought that he was old. There you go. Break time. Hey.
I like it, George.
There you go.
Very good.
Lovely. Some really good poems.
Okay.
I enjoy every week, but it's been really good. Really good.
Okay, I won't come back, George, because my internet connection is playing up again. So I'll
Okay.
bow out. All right, but thank you very much.
Thanks for showing up, Vivian. I enjoyed your
No
poems.
worries.
Thank
You take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
I have to move on.
It's called Greenwood Home. Green is the colour from your windowsill, the catalyst of your path, the sheet you dream upon, unwishing time and longitude, you fled me. Eyes are my eyes, very soon you will come back, shifting plume, your path backtracking comes to our Beatrix. And then I see if I can get another poem, one more poem. It's called Flight of a Swallow. I am a swallow built on nests, capturing the essence from my perch, diligently following a hidden path, pretending Buddha's hand is a hollow untruth. Parried by the wind, this old world will not change because you are fledgling. Tears like the falling rain, along with the passing cumulus.
Right, thank you, Anthony. Some interesting concepts there. I like a bit about Buddha's hand. It's lovely. Yeah, very.
Thank you, George, for your support.
Thought-provoking. Yeah. So, can we go to you, John? John Grettrex. Good evening,
Yeah,
John.
sorry, literally just got in. Oh no, I was on another Zoom call. Thank you.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Might have done this before. I'm not sure. This is a poem about it's called Revive 45, and it's about a record. You know, like the old records, the 45 records have got an A side and a B side. So I want you to imagine a record is spinning round, and we hear first of all the A side speaks, then we turn it over and the B side speaks, and this is what it's called. Revive 45, A side. You've picked me up, you've turned me on, I've got to sing this little song at your command for just as long as you desire. You've given me a purpose, a direction. You've got me going now, I feel alive. You've sent me on my way and I could sing all night and day the single that you've chosen to revive. I used to have this personal ambition to shine across the pop scene like a sun. And though it never came to be, just by listening to me, you make me feel that I'm your number one. It's true at times I sound a little awkward. It's just a scratch that you were bound to hear. Okay, I lack perfection when you take a close inspection, but if you like me, can't you turn the other ear? Don't judge me from this opening impression. It isn't that I've anything to hide, but who gets a total view when they're meeting someone new? It may be that I've got another side. B-side. The B-side. I'm the side you don't hear often. Not as popular as A. Discontent with my position. Not the type you would overplay. It's pathetic. When you think about it, both of us are made the same. Just a molded piece of plastic, only different in the grain, like two fingerprints. That's all. Nothing much. And yet it's clear from this tiny fact emerges all the differences you hear. Oh, not that you will hear me often moaning how I was begotten. When you play the other side, I will simply be forgotten. But when my better half is playing and all you want is light relief, don't forget, I'm close beside you, spinning silent underneath. You pick me up, you turn me on. I had to sing this little song. I'm near the end. Give me your hand. Without your help, you understand, I can't go on.
Right. Well, you're obviously not in the 78 era yet, so well done, John.
No, I've got to, yeah, I've got a 33. I've got to do a 78. Yeah.
Right.
And I've got pre-78 ones from my uncle's collection from about 80 years ago.
Oh, I remember those. Yeah, they're scratchy old things. Yeah, very good.
Really heavy these. Yeah. So that's
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can move on then now to Lorraine. Lorraine, you're muted. Lorraine, you're muted. Lorraine, can't hear you.
Right. Well, I'm just going to read one that I have read before, but I quite like it. It's called When You Writhed and Stamped. Who doesn't want to be restored to a previous version, a congenial one you enjoyed when you writhed and stamped to guitars, ivory keys, or a wind band, flinging yourself like a free, feverish, lost orbiting asteroid, trying to gyrate to the melodies of some distant land? When you writhed and stamped to guitars, the ivory keys, or a wind band, the more moves you thumped, the more you craved to know, albeit you had to in motion, whether rapid, temperate, or slow mambo, flinging yourself like a loose, orbiting, feverish asteroid. The musician hopes you'd learn and love the strains of a true tango, or better even still, the highly expressive footwork intricate flamenco. Trying to gyrate to the melodies of some distant land, you'd heard of the testing new steps of some dance and was desperate to show how agile you'll be dancing to the rhythm and steps of the lateral flow. That's what I call that was, you know, danced around. So yes, I like that one. But carry on. I'm going to leave in a few minutes. I want to see Stalin on the television. I don't often see him, but I'm going to see him PBS +1 or whatever. So I want to see 2 hours of Stalin. It always mesmerizes me. So I'll be leaving about 10 to 10 or something like that. Okay. I watched so far. Okay.
Okay, Lorraine, thank you. Was you talking about the film they made of Stalin? It's quite funny, wasn't it? It was.
Oh yes, I've seen that. Yes. I love that. Absolutely, it's hilarious.
Yeah, Stalin's last days. It was really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mohammed, good evening again. Are you back from your your parties in the Downing Street Garden now?
Yes, it was
Very
a
good.
great success. And I've managed to insult a lot of people, which is my
Very good.
ambition. Yeah.
Yes.
And so after having insulted people, I seek your support. And so please donate freely and with purport. Thank you. So, yes, flower in concrete flower. There's a flower that's grown in the concrete, and that's how it should be, defying reality when they always choose meadows, fields, and gardens. Uncared, it has found its way. Every city spawns its own, every other concrete pathway. The laws of existence determine that some flowers beat the odds, and humans care little anyway. That's based on a poem by Tupac. And world has a mushroom day. The world has a mushroom day when they gather to eat and play. They sell cheap and share lots. Button mushrooms, look how much I've got. Mushroom for mushroom pie. Mushroom umbrellas under the sky. Why can't there be more such days when mushroom lovers eat and play? And this last one is My Locker. It's from a poem a day. Read Me Out Loud poem a day, 4th February for today. It's called My Locker by Darren Sardelli. My locker's filled with lots of things, like feathers from a falcon's wings, a basketball, a model plane, a whistle from a railroad train, a flower pot, a crystal dish, a magazine with sharks and fish, a roller skate, a pack of gum, and cymbals from a drummer's drum. It also has a boogie board, a water gun, a plastic sword, a handle for an ice cream scoop, a thermos filled with chicken soup, a pogo stick, a purple kite, a lantern with an orange light, a jar of nuts, a garden hose, and tissues for my stuffy nose. Although there's little room for screws and hooks, I have no place to put my books. Thank you.
I especially like that last one. It's lovely. So it sums up a lot of households, I think. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a wonder how we managed to attract rubbish. I've got so much rubbish in my life. Anyway, not talking about rubbish now. I'm talking about quality. We're going to move on to Jim. Okay, Jim. You're muted, Jim. You're still muted. Muted.
We'll have to
Muted.
lip read. Let's lip read.
Muted. That's it, Jim.
Yeah,
Got you
okay.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to read 2 poems, same thing. It's about my father. He was a difficult person, actually, to put it mildly. And this one is called The Trojan Horse. At school, I was obsessed, played chess beneath the desks. Teachers disapproved. My father, hot with rage, saw fit to burn 4 bishops in the grate, to slaughter all my glorious knights. 2 queens got ravaged by the flames, castles reduced to plastic ruins, and monarchs perished with their loyal pawns. My pocket chess set razed to ashes. I vowed to bide my time and have revenge. Then came an armistice, my father's gift, a wooden set he'd made himself. For me, or for his own creative needs, I could not tell. My father duly died, and I was sad enough to see him coffined, ready for a funeral pyre. Tears filled my eyes, and yet in many fevered dreams I cried out, let my father's soul float free to heaven, but first let it burn a while in some hereafter, as he once burnt my kings and castles. The chess set, now a holy relic, still remains, a Trojan horse that burns forever in my brain. And this is the chess set.
Oh, I could do a chess set. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he made it all himself, actually. He was really gifted in that way. And I was absolutely useless in that. This was a point of whatever. The next one is called Mental Photograph. Mental photograph. Autumn sun rising, frost on the ground. Father in his coffin, same austere frown. But he made a joke once. Death is nature's way of telling you to slow down. Disinclined to laugh, I take a mental photograph. Autumn sun rising, frost on the ground. Father in his coffin, mist like a shroud. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that, Jim. So what was the original plastic set, was that done on purpose or was it an accident?
No, he got annoyed because I was playing chess. You know, I got reported a bit at school, and also he saw me playing with it in the living room, and he just flew into a rage, grabbed it and threw it into the fire where it burnt.
That's weird. Most parents would be proud of their kids being able to play chess, wouldn't they? But there you go.
No, I was a different sort of person he was.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Looked similar, but different entirely character. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, my dad, my mum had to go to the hospital one night because my sister was ill. She burnt herself. And my mum came home. She found me tied under the table with the dog. And she just went into one. She was absolutely furious, you know. But anyway, that's probably the worst thing that happened to me. But I don't blame my dad. But there you go. I must have been probably a little pest, actually, putting it mildly. Anyway, we move on to Jane. Muted, Jane. You're muted. Muted. You're still muted. That's it. Okay.
Yeah, I've got two poems. And the first one is called Making Poverty History. Once there was a mouse who wished to help a lion in a cage, wanted to set him free as lions ought to be. So she gnawed till her gums were raw, chewed till her teeth were sore. And do you know, in the end, the little mouse, she set that awesome creature free. Once there was a bloodthirsty giant who terrorized a village in the middle of the plains. Countless brave men pitied their strength but failed, until one day a fearless youth took up his bow and, aiming high, struck the arrow right between the target's eye. Once there were church halls and sundry places across the land, full of people gathered to imagine a world where everyone could live. Fresh air, clean water, jobs, and all things life-sustaining. And did it happen, this modern miracle? Perhaps not yet, but while there are those in our midst still inspired and able to dream, there is hope. And the other one is called Requiem, a Last Request. That's my sort of last will and testament. Please drape me when I'm gone in colors of the sun, not in its glaring high noon phase, but mid-morning mellow, replete of fruits and flowers. The reds of sorrel and hibiscus, the orange of the flamboyant, and the rich purple bougainvillea. Or else, deck me in the russet hues of an autumnal Epping forest on the cusp of its splendor. Let there be no blacks, no slate gray winter dawnings to mark my passing. Similarly, no tears, nor genteel cups of tea. Instead, let there be poetry, wine, and music. And for those whose spirits would soar a touch higher, bring out the Macushri rum, spiced up with nutmeg, cinnamon, and ginger. Flood my memory with love and laughter, fitting testimony to a good life. Lastly, no sprinkling of holy water over my stiff remains, but liberally anoint me with Chanel No. 5, dispersing in equal measure my scented ashes along the White River, the Thames, and River Lee. And even as my dust drifts into oblivion, smile as in your heart and head, I will be living still.
Oh, that sounds like a good passage, Jane, a beautiful passage. I can see the colour, the smell of scent.
Yeah, Makashri rum is the best rum in Dominica.
I can imagine. Wonderful. Thank you.
My daughter knows, so she'll invite you all.
It's all written down, is it? It's all
yes, oh
there
yes.
in letters of stone. So are you got another one for us, or is that it for now?
I thought I'd read just two. I've got more, but I
Okay.
other people.
No, it's probably, well, we'll see how we go, but yeah, that's fine for now, I think. Jane, thanks very much.
Well done, Jane.
Thank you.
Well done, Jane.
Thank you.
Make poverty
Yeah.
history.
Thank you.
Lovely poems, thank you, as usual.
Yeah, very nice, thank you.
Yeah. And now, Alan. Good evening, Alan, again.
Hello again.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of haiku here, and then I've got a couple of other poems. This one's called Haiku Haiku. Take 5 syllables and add another 7, and here is 5 more.
Yes.
And then we had a theme of poems inspired by book titles. And this one's You Only Live Twice by Ian Fleming. Felines live in fear when research reveals new proof on longevity. And another fish and chip one is called The Wrong Choice. She's standing behind the counter thinking, how did it come to this? She drops the chips into the fryer and starts battering the fish. Into the oven, she now counts the pies, knowing she'd been deceived by one too many lies. Into the steamer, she places the Savoys as her memories drift back to when she had the pick of all the boys. She looks down and pinches a freshly cooked chip, standing waiting behind the counter with anticipated greetings on her lips. Thank you. And on this one is called Feminine Side. I'm the hunter and you are the gatherer as I focus on the chase. You forage for food with one eye on the children, keeping the home safe. Now I am in touch with my feminine side as I start to multitask. I sit, I drink my tea, reading the newspaper, eating breakfast. You tell me that doesn't count. And one more, which I think this is called Dead Stairs. Again, seaside related. In the sea, sleek grey shapes weave their way towards the pier, just 50 metres from the shore. The soft waves sigh over the pebble beach. The sun sparkles as like diamonds on the turquoise sea. A perfect blue sky, punctuated by cumulus clouds, cast their shadow over the sea and land. The aroma of brine fills the air as the swells rise and fall. Sun rays penetrate the depths, striking random mackerel, causing them to shine under the sea. On the east side of the pier, a line of fishermen wait, drinking tea and chatting, whilst peering over the edge in anticipation of that elusive bite. On the west side, black-headed gulls hover on the strong southwesterly wind, surveying the sea. Both groups wait, the shoals approaches. Small fry are picked off by the gulls small fry are picked off as the gulls swoop and dive into the sea, grabbing whatever they can. On the other side of the pier, one by one, the fishermen strike. Out of the water, fish are now gasping for breath, plucked from their hunt for food. Hanging on the line, the fish twist and glisten in the midday sun, their scales reflecting the light. Their catch, now dehooked, is placed in a cool box in the shade. The young boy struggles to remove the hook from his mackerel's jaw, his hand slippery from the skin of the fish. His father comes to give assistance, wrapping the fish in an old towel. The hook removed, the fish still gasping, the boy makes his way to the cool box. He lifts the lid to be met by the cold, dead stares of the beautifully coloured fish, already breathless in the box. He hesitates, his mind in turmoil. He looks again at the fish in his hand, still gasping. In a moment of compassion, he walks to the pier's edge and drops the fish back into the sea. Thank you.
Yeah, that was nice. Thank you very much, Alan. when you talk about your chip shop lady who used to have a pick of all the boys, you know, it's kind of rings bells about how you were regarded when you were young, you know.
Yeah.
Young woman once said to me, I look like Richard Burton, and now I'm more like Gonfrey Burton. So there you go.
Well, I would never have said that, John.
That's the aging process. That's it. You never said I look like Richard Burton. Well, no, I did. Apparently, allegedly.
All right.
So, right now, next we have Jan. Have you got any more for us, Jan? You'd like to read?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, a cat's joined us again. Hello, Pussy. Right. So now we can move to, I was just thinking, John, as you weren't here for part one, have you got any more you'd like to read to us at all, please?
Okay, right. One of Philip Larkin's favourite poems that he wrote was called, it's people on a train coming down to London from Hull. What the hell was it called? Anyway, it
was called Whitsun
Weddings,
very much, John.
Absolutely.
Whitsun Weddings. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes. Well, what I want you to imagine is that on that train coming down, as well as all the new brides and bridegrooms on their way to London, was also, there was this chap, and hold on, I think I've got the right book. That's in, surely. Computer says, oh yeah, right. And this is basically someone else on that train traveling down who gets on in one of those compartments, you know, in the old days where you just had people sitting opposite each other, didn't you? I suppose if we go back a long way, rather than the whole long carriages, but it could apply to either. Anyway, and this is the thoughts of one of the people in the carriage who's sitting opposite to somebody else. And I suppose you could say, to sum it up, it's, you know, of all the Europeans, only the English travel in silence. Two strangers, you and I, who've come to share the same compartment for a little while. We sit apart like dummies and observe each other secretly. I sneak a glance, then look aside so you may have a turn. And when by chance our glancing coincides, we move our eyes straight down to see our awkward knees locked frigid with self-consciousness, or else to read, or seem quite unperturbed and look out of the window casually, only to find our two transparent forms still far apart beyond the window frame, miming each move we make. And though they get it all the wrong way round, they still persist. These silent critics, wisely out of reach, who've come to mock our dumb performance. Now, there are times when I can think of nothing better than of changing seats with my reflection. He's got the guts I lack to stare men down. I've never seen him look away. What stops me changing places is the pain. It's always there when he's around. I simply can't get through. We can't shake hands or even hold a conversation. He interrupts me every time, and when I'd rather listen, he shuts up as well. It's quite impossible. He's nothing but a dead bore. I may as well look through him at the fields and trees and cows and turds and poles and wires and birds and clouds until they merge into a blur and I get weary-eyed and bored. So I look back inside. We're still apart. You've dived headfirst into a book. Now, I agree it's great to plunge in fiction, but come up at times for air. I wonder if you're quite as sunk as you appear. Or is it just a cover to remain uptight behind the sheets? I'm not implying you're a prude. You may be playing this game hard to gain some say in how the match is scored. To be honest, who wants to be ignored? I don't. Let's chat. Then I can check the guess I've made about your tone of voice based on the way you dress, as from your shape of mouth. I'd find how nearly you're related to the person I'm creating in my mind. So how about it? My suggestion, speech. No, wait, I shouldn't interrupt your thoughts. You could be sick to death of nursing those who rattle on. Why give your time to someone else you fear might bore you with the weather, the cost of living, and himself? Unless, like me, you travel blind within an English frame of mind. I'll have to speak to see. Excuse me, do you have the time, please?
Thank you, John. Lovely. Yeah, very good. That put me in mind of, there's a lovely poem by Jackie Kay. She's on a train and her breath is on the window. And in the steam, she sees a face, and it's an African face, and it's her father from Ethiopia, and it puts her in touch with her roots. And it's a lovely atmospheric little bit of poetry. But thank you for that, John. Thanks.
Okay, Jackie Kay, how do you spell her name? Did you not?
Kay. Kay. Yeah, she's I think she was a poet laureate for Scotland at one point.
Oh, okay, so, thanks. Okay,
yeah.
Well, first stuff. Thank you very much.
She's written some good stuff. Jane, lots of nice things coming in about your poems as well. I'm glad I'm not the only fan of you, but they love. I mean, that thing about you can see the leaves and the rivers, and you know the way you kind of celebrate death, and you know the way you all the things you like coming into it. It's a beautiful poem. Thank you. So now we're going to move to the, are we on the, yes, we are. We're back on the old guard again. Ted, what have you got for us? Muted, Ted. It was nice to see Penny tonight, Ted, briefly.
I'm muted now.
Not that you're not handsome now, but it was nice to see Penny.
Yeah, it is. Just to keep my cheerful end up here, this is Stephen Smith from I think it's his one and only book, might have been, he might have done two, The Fabulous Relatives.
Is that Stephen Smith or Stevie Smith?
No, Stephen.
Stephen, okay, all right.
Okay. He was high on drugs at one point. This is from Cold Turkey Pilgrimage. A friend who used to jack me up told me he'd been recruited, he had recurring dreams. He would be led into a hangar large enough to model as the world, completely dark but full of quick beats of pigeons, wings that stirred warm currents on his face. His guide was always silent, but he guessed his father from the heavy tread and wheeze of asthma. After some minutes, they would stand beside a pit, which shape he felt from gusts of air. He had a fear of falling. Always with legs outstretched, he'd find his depth, treading the water of his crash with Valium or weights of hash. He had a fascination, though asleep, to tuck his arms beneath his pectorals and fall forever. There you go. Things you can do when you're cold turkey. Things you can write. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. He's lucky to have pectorals, I suppose. Well done.
Do you want to bash it? I've got Bangkok Nights.
Bangkok Nights. Yeah, let's go for it.
Right. Don't know what it's like. All right, here we go. Friable days crumble into night. Clouds topple westwards, burn the colour of cinders where the city infuses their basements with neon. Gimcrack signs flash grottos of lust. The Lotus Motel, Miss Saigon's delights, pederast averts special need in the low parlour doorways. Anything goes. A young man with beautiful fingernails would turn tricks in the cellar of a disused silk factory, where catalogues of Yokohama cloth litter the floor. Anytime, any place, anywhere. Sees the right thing, a pimp squeaks on the corner. A night wind from the harbour is just cool enough to excite desire. Foreigners with dollars tool through the streets. They are watched for like goldfish in tanks. Language is directed at them. Businessmen to seed the East with new products. There you go.
Oh, well done, Ted.
All
Sounds
the
like
charms of Bangkok.
Yeah,
Go on.
sounds like a bit like a walk on the wild side. Do 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 do.
It's the way I tell them. It's the way I tell them.
It's the way you tell them. That's true.
Right.
Anyway, going to move
That's
to
it.
your colleague Peter now. That's our lot, is it, Ted? From you?
Yeah, that's your lot. I've got nothing that I can find that I want to read.
All right then.
Thanks
Peter,
for your
have you got-
company. I'm not disappearing, but I will.
No,
after.
no, thank you. Anyway, can move to Peter.
Right, I'm going to read a couple of my old poems. The first one is about a reindeer that I believe Jan might have met at one point in Tromsø, walking Elvis home. This is a photograph I never took, but wish I had, hurrying forward, turning, framing you as you stopped for a moment, knee-deep in snow, in a background of snow. A blue rope, the only colour looped around you, waist to shoulder, and a reindeer tied to the other end. This is not what you had expected, asking to walk back to the hut to avoid the finger-numbing cling to the slats of the packing case sled, which slid uncertainly, rapidly behind the skidoo. And I can see you looking at the camera, quizzical at one of life's jokes, at being tied to a reindeer. This is not what you had expected, and the reindeer looking amiable as reindeer do. But my camera was in my rucksack, and I was between you, giving an occasional encouraging tug on the rope to both, helping you walk Elvis home. And another one, old one. I fill a bowl. I fill a bowl the size of two hands joined and cupped with water. I place the bowl at the hub of this clear winter night. Within the bowl, stars slowly track. Water becomes ice. At dawn, I empty into your cupped hands frozen traceries of light. Thank you.
That's lovely, Peter. You know, that walking Elvis home was always stuck in my mind. A lovely poem, very atmospheric. Yeah, somehow. Elvis has left the building.
The idea of a reindeer with an Elvis hairdo is quite fascinating.
Yeah, true. Right. I've just finished up with a couple of little poems of mine. These are about childhood. These are kind of ideas that probably went through my head when I was little, and it's called early musings. It's the child who considers the smallest things, how a sprig of moss makes a miniature tree. Why are worms' bodies made up of rings? Who teaches the thrush to sing sweetly? How a sprig of moss makes a miniature tree. Why the clouds seem to shade the golden wheat. Who teaches the thrush to sing sweetly? Why are the fallen apples too bad to eat? Why clouds seem to shade the golden wheat? What makes ants' wings grow on the warmest day? Why are fallen apples too bad to eat? Why are wasps not shy enough to stay away? What makes the ants grow wings on the warmest day? Why are worms' bodies made up of rings? Why are wasps not shy enough to stay away? It's the child who considers the smallest things. Yeah, so that's just kind of sort of memories of being a little boy. And this is another one that I you know, from my childhood. Oh God, where's it gone? Ah, it's gone, it's disappeared. Disappeared. This is, it's in here somewhere. Hang on a minute. Bear with me, talk among yourselves, sorry. I don't know why they didn't index these on people's names. Oh, this is a rubbish index. No, I'm gonna choose. It would have been the children in the hop fields, which I like, but I'll do you another one. This is a bit of a lovely one. It's
I've
called.
taught you well, George. I've taught you well.
I know, Ted. I've done Ted. I had all little bits of paper stuck in here, Ted, but I must have dropped one out. I honestly did, Ted.
I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
They evaporate.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, I'll do this one. It's called Footprints on Snow. It's a bit of a love poem, really. It's kind of got references that I kind of seen out there somewhere, but they mean something to me. A geisha smile graced her lips. Reality stole away to rose petals in the snow. Out of season, out of time, out of place, in search to heal any meaning that day may have had. Yet the silk of a kimono touch lingers in the scent of jasmine for the mind to scent out, for when just for a second, her heart folded outwards like an origami promise. That's that one. And this one is called, just a bit funny, this one's called Shot Up Clock. It's again, it's about childhood. An empty room, a broken clock face, a hot prairie wind clatters the swing doors of the Lucky Chance Saloon. Dust devils play with tumbleweed. The smell of cordite from another century. Bullet holes from Colt 45s leave their marks. Whiskey glass rings on the long bar survive time's passages. And still I miss Tom Ricks, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, and the Lone Ranger in flickering black and white Saturday morning cinema at Catford Odeon. I hold them fondly, an empty room full of memories, a loving embrace. That's about Saturday morning pictures. And just a little one here, it's called Siddhartha at the Stream, my little Buddhist poem. Softly through the Surrey dawn, a misty world begins to form. An image on a silver screen, a mute swan shape comes into being. Slow gliding feathers of white snow seem to make the daybreak glow, not with sunset's ruddy fire or the nighttime moon of soft desire. These gentle shades of grey content lead to my path of enlightenment. There you go. Well, that's it, folks. Boom, boom.
Well done.
Well, it's
Well done.
lovely. Thanks for all your poems.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.